Now we're coming to a little bit of a tricky part. Take your collar piece and machine around the unnotched edge. Okay, just machine around the unnotched edge, nice and even as you can. Around that, you can trim it back a little bit to the stitching, just to keep it nice and even and nice and neat. So you can see that there. Okay, your notch is going to be important now for backing. You need about a 7 or 8 inch strip of bias, and the bias is important because it's going to have to stretch around the neckline piece here. So take your garment back, match the notch on the collar, and that's quite bulky there. You're going to have a couple of layers of felt there because you have your pleat, sorry, there you have your pleat and you have a double collar, so just be careful of that. Fit the collar around, just ease it round. It will give, there will be a little bit of give in it, and it should come round to the front where the notch, so you're going to, it's not going to come the whole way around. And just pin that in place. The same on the other side. Just ease it around to get into the shape of the, remember you're putting a straight edge into a curved edge, so you just have to give it a little bit of, just persuade it a little bit to fit. But it will, because the felt, there's a bit of give. And there's your notch there, and that'll tell you that it's going to the right place. So no harm to just check before you do any sewing that both collars are in line with, so that looks quite good there. They're both in line. Now, I would suggest at this stage to machine that with a long stitch. So kind of go about, you know, up to your normal stitch length, but out towards the edge. Don't come in 1/4 of an inch, go out a little further than 1/4 of an inch, because literally what you're doing is just basting and tacking this, because the next part is to, that's all going to be encased now in a nice piece of bias binding, and the front facings will be going on as well. So that's going to be raw edges and closed. So if you get that done, just carefully stitch along that edge there to hold that baste, that collar in place. And that's about, this is about the trickiest little bit, and just take your time because you are in spots, particularly at the back seam, sewing over quite a lot of bulk. And remember, keep it less than your 1/4 inch seam the whole way along that. Okay. Now, and remove the pins, just makes it easier now for working. Okay. Now take your remaining facing pieces and you're going to put those right sides together, and they'll overlay the collar. So pin those in place on both sides. Here's my second one. Sorry, right sides together, and it will overlay the collar slightly. Just pin those in place. Now take your bias, and you're going to, I'm just going to get the center of my piece of bias binding, and right sides together, go to the center where the notch is, centre back, and just pin that in place. And just take the bias around into the collar shape there. Now it only just needs to extend. So, sorry, I'm just going to pause this for a second. The phone is ringing.